A pioneer version of the new Storm of Stratagems KvK is now available for registration. So in this video, we'll review everything that's visible so far, including the layout of the map, which does look like there's going to be some good fighting. So stick around in this video for all the things you'd want to know, either before you register for this KvK as a kingdom leader, or before you enter as a player. Let's get it started. Hello my friends, welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. And I always aspire to make a video about different KvK formats so that you can learn whether or not you want to queue for them. And although this format has not actually been played yet, there are a lot of things we can learn by looking through the rules and looking at the map design. And this KvK is unique for a number of reasons. It's got stratagems, which we'll talk about. It's got team-ups, so you can actually pick who might be in your war camp, and even really fast counter rallies. It's got arrow towers. Let's just get started breaking down the features of this KvK, and if you want, you can use the timestamps to navigate to any part of this video that you're most interested in. Let's start with the free team-up. During this story's matchmaking phase, we'll be introducing the new kingdom classes and free team-up features. Your kingdom can create or join a team as it pleases during the team-up phase. At the end of the team-up phase, kingdoms that have not teamed up will be automatically paired up. Find like-minded allies, devise your strategy, and take to the battlefield. Now, I have a lot more information about this KvK, in part from a player, Bat, who sent me some of these screenshots, and also I've collected screenshots on my own. But thank you, Bat, for sending some of these screenshots, because I've got more details about all of this, including the team-up. You see, in the Pioneer overview, they explain much more in depth how that actually works. And rather than just read this word for word, I'll sort of break it down for you. You form a team in that matchmaking phase, and depending on how strong your kingdom is, war camps will either be composed of an S-class kingdom or an A plus a B kingdom. And alternatively, if you're in a KvK with smaller kingdoms, war camps will be 2C kingdoms and 2D kingdoms paired together. And there are 6 total teams of similar strength. So there's 6 war camps, okay? And each war camp is either an S kingdom or an A plus a B. Or if you're in one of the, weaker sets of kingdoms, it'll be 2Cs and 2Ds paired together. So 4 kingdoms in one war camp kind of sounds like a lot, actually. Now, in addition to actually being able to pick who your campmates are, in this KvK format, you actually go and you choose stratagems. There are 5 stratagem folios and 3 categories of stratagems, and the developers have actually teased these features in videos leading up to the release of this KvK into the game. As a reminder, I took pictures to be able to show what this looks like. There's the leadership stratagems, warfare stratagems, support stratagems, and the universal category. And these are basically different abilities that you're going to choose that enhance your ability to wage war, to get economic benefits, and more. And so you essentially pick what's called a folio, which is a collection of the different types of stratagems. Remember, these are the categories of stratagems. You can recognize those colors, okay? And you pick a folio that says, all right, I get, 2 war stratagems, or, actually this is 2 leadership, 1 war stratagem, right? Like this one over here has got actually 2... Pick like whatever you want, universal options, all right? 2 of the green ones, 1 of the purple, all right? And then the abilities themselves, you can see right over here examples of some of these. And each category has what looks like a pretty wide range of abilities, but I'm going to assume that, warfare-related stuff is related to fielding, support's related to mostly economy, and leadership perhaps is related mostly to leading rallies and garrisons. For example, here's a warfare ability. Whenever one of your troop buffs another troop, it gains a shield factor of 700. Yo, William is looking real good here for 5 seconds. Each of your troops can trigger this effect once every 10 seconds. Yo, even Joan gets shields? Oh my god. Yeah. So there's going to be some really, really cool stuff that I think happens with these stratagems, especially because you get to pick them. My only question around this is, like, how quickly do you gain access to these stratagems? Is it, like, right away at the start of the KvK? Either way, I love this feature. It reminds me a lot of the sort of seasonal strategies of Nile KvK, but more versatile because there aren't trees with sort of consequences for going down one tree or another. It looks like you can just freely choose the abilities you're interested in as long as your folio, right, allows for the right sort of combination of abilities that you want to go for. Now, the way you set up your stratagems is using stratagem points. These points are used to change your equipped stratagems and are earned through bastion quests, which is an interesting piece of information. In addition, this KvK has arrow towers. Now, this is a very interesting topic. I'll read this briefly and then show you arrow towers. Crusader flags can be transformed into Alliance arrow towers, which will attack nearby non-friendly cities. Their attacks will reduce their target's city wall durability, but will not deal damage to the troops in the city. Now, this is something that entered into Call of Dragons and is a base feature of the game, the ability to create an arrow tower. And I can show you this really clearly and what the impact of this is. Let me just show you that feature in Call of Dragons because it works pretty much the same sort of a way in Rise of Kingdoms. So here we are in Call of Dragons, and this is the equivalent of an arrow tower. It's called a siege tower. We have the opportunity to turn it on or off, and also it's got increased durability from a tower that has not yet been upgraded. So you can see this has lower durability than the one that's been upgraded to the cannon tower. And, you know, this case for the Stratagems KvK, it's an arrow tower. And you can see there's a range emanating here. If an enemy city is teleported anywhere in that range, that city gets bombarded from the tower and ultimately ported away, and your wall durability is reduced. I love these things, man. They are so cool in being able to get progress when you're otherwise locked up and unable to move forward on the map. I think that these are a really cool addition, and I think also for Rise of Kingdoms, they offer something really cool in pushing an enemy off of a position. I think that arrow towers are actually really going to be a fun feature. Now, back to the overview and rules here. Counter rallies basically launch instantly in this form of KvK, which is nuts. Whenever one of your coalition's strongholds, fortresses, crusader flags, passes, holy sites, or cities, is targeted by an enemy rally, you can launch a counter rally set against the rallied army. The counter rallied army will immediately set out once it's reached its capacity, so you have to fill it all the way up, and that's it. Boom, it goes. And all participating troops have actually arrived. So as soon as the final troop arrives, it's on its way. Counter rallies are going to be a big deal in this KvK. There are also alliance entry permits. Okay, what is that? In this story, you can join alliances belonging to any kingdom that's in the same Lost Kingdom starting zone as you, or war camp. So that's really cool, by the way. You can reach all the way up to rank 4 in another kingdom's alliance and have the same rights as other members of the same rank, except for restocking the alliance shop. Very cool, man. I think that this feature is very critical for the future of the game. Kingdoms are getting smaller. You can see that they're pairing many kingdoms into the same war camp. You basically need to make a super alliance or several super alliances with all the kingdoms in the KvK, which again, I think is just really cool as a feature. And, you know, some kingdoms may not take advantage of that, but I think it'd be a mistake not to leverage that at least a little bit to have that cross-play across kingdoms. After immigration in the Lost Kingdom opens, you can apply to immigrate to any kingdom within the same Lost Kingdom as you. Doing so will cost fewer passport pages than regular migration. The migration system will be displayed on the main season page for 7 days before it opens. So if you really like one of the kingdoms you fought against or played with, you can migrate to them for cheap. Now here's the map. This is really the main reason I wanted to make this video, is to showcase this map. There are 6 war camps here, and thankfully, courtesy of Bat, who I mentioned earlier in this video, he sent me a picture where someone has already figured out what the pass sequence is and which zones you might go into first, so let me show you what that looks like. This is his best guess on the sequence of passes. So the first zone you fight for is Zone 5. That's our guess. And in Zone 5, everybody gets a fight with one of their neighbors. So for example, you've got the bottom right quarter, which I think is water. They can fight Greenwood. Also, you've got wind up top. They can fight earth. And then I think that's fire camp all the way in the upper left fights. I think that's daybreak in the bottom left. So you get a little bit of a fight initially. From there, I think your zone 6 might be a safe-ish zone for a while. So you go into zone 6, and every war camp has a zone 6 next to them. And what I think you do in that zone 6 is that subsequently you'll fight in an altar or maybe ruins. And that is in that small circular zone between the 6s. So I think you fight with your neighbor for either the altar of darkness or ruins. And then I think there's a battle for the zone 7s. So let's talk about how that looks for a moment here. Because I think the middle camps have the sort of advantage of being able to possibly go into either zone 7. It all depends on how they're shaped up. We don't know where the passes are yet. Okay, but it could be that you've got like this camp over here, Greenwood goes into here, they can go into this zone 7, and water can go into this zone 7, and wind can go into this zone 7. It's possible that Greenwood could also go over here. If they want to make it balanced, I think you'd have to only be able to go one way because everybody else can only go one way. But anyways, over here, you've got these camps that can then battle in to this zone 7. And then after the zone 7, at some point, presumably there's Kingsland. Now, once we have the Chronicles, it'll be a lot easier to map out the sort of full details of, hey, you go here, then here, then here, then here. But I think the fighting in this KvK could be pretty cool. And I'll almost certainly be streaming some of the fighting that happens in this KvK to showcase the arrow towers, the instant counter rallies. I mean, you need a lot of tankiness on a rally when the enemy can have a counter rally up and running actually instantly. Like, really think about that. If the enemy has all of their troops waiting outside to join the rally, you can literally instantly send a counter rally with sufficient organization. And so your rally could be getting hit by the counter rally before it even gets to the flag or fort, depending on what you're rallying. So this KvK could be really fun, but we'll see. If you want to see exactly how it unfolds, subscribe to the channel. I'll showcase all of that. Personally, I just entered into the Warriors Unbound KvK, and I'll have a card in the end screen for that live stream where you can watch me teching up. We can review the players that are in the battlefield. And if you want to see Yoda 808, the strongest player by power, blasting through $51,000 worth of gems, training in preparation for that KvK, card will be in the end screen for that one as well.